Okay, so this is the video that's going to teach you how to tape your rifle. I have Simone's rifle here. She let me use it. The things you're going to need, screwdriver or a drill, depending on which one, but your screws should be loose, so you should need them, scissors, and your white tape, Scotch branded. If you have a cheaper brand of white tape, it's fine. Just understand that lower quality tape may cause it to crack, it could cause it to slip, and long story short, you may need to retape it in a few years or in a year. Better tape, the less you have to worry about that kind of thing in general. So the first thing that you need to do, which I'm going to reposition the camera where you can see the rifle a little bit better. The first thing we're going to do is just take the screws out of the rifle. So you need your rifle to not have it strapped, and you need to take the bolt off as well. The tape goes underneath. I did put the screws back in over the strapping tape so that it's a little bit easier to find the holes through the tape, which is going to be a little bit difficult, but it shouldn't be too hard. A lot of this video is going to be silent because it's going to be me just taping the rifle, but I'll give you instruction when you need it. We're going to start taping our rifle on the nose and the butt first, much like you would do your stoppers, and then the rest of the rifle is taped with a single piece of tape. So I usually start with the nose, no particular reason. When we start taping the actual rifle itself, you will start at the nose and go towards the butt. But for this, it doesn't matter if you start on that end or this end. Okay. So this is your pad on the nose of your rifle. So we're going to tape it very, very similarly the way that you would tape a flag stopper. You're going to tape it kind of in a star pattern to cover up the entire thing. You want the tape to come down about at least that far past, so you don't want it to be super short like up here. If it is short and there's a lot of tension, sometimes it can slide out from the other tape. Then you got to redo the whole thing. So the longer it is, the safer it is. It's not going to come out. Here we go. So from here, I've got one straight piece of tape. You're going to line it up just with the edge. This way. Just with the edge here of the tape you've already done. Come all the way across. This one's in a diagonal, also to the edge of the tape that we just did. And you're going to do that a total of 4 times. 4 times should be all you need to cover the entire thing. So this is what it looks like. Tape is here and here. And again, we'll do that 2 more times. We'll line it up right with the edge. And you want to kind of, so when you are laying your tape down on this edge that you just did, about that much of it should have no tension. Then you can start to kind of pull it. You see how when you pull it, it kind of straightens it out for that neater look. And so I'm pulling to about here. And then when I cut the tape, you'll notice that there's going to be no tension in the end of the tape. If anybody's ever used KT tape, then you kind of understand this concept. If you have no tension, it will not pull because there's nothing pulling it. That's what the tension does. The tension that keeps it nice and smooth is also the tension that can cause your tape to slip. So the very ends, this goes for on your flag, this goes for on your rifle, later and now, the ends of your tape, you don't want any tension. For the last little tail of your tape, you don't want any tension to make sure that it does not slip on you. Okay, and now this is the last one. Right on the edge, pulling across, and then just making sure that you've covered it entirely on the other side, laying it down nice and flat, cut it off, again, lay it down, no tension, just press it down, okay? And that is what the nose of the rifle now looks like. That's step one. We're gonna do a similar thing on the butt of the rifle. It is a little bit different just because it's obviously a different shape. So this one's a little bit different than a stopper just because, again, it is this long shape, not round. So what you're gonna do is this one's also gonna take about 4 pieces of tape. You'll go not directly in the center like this, not right there. You're gonna go kind of a little bit off to the edge, just a little bit. Sorry, it's not long enough. And you're gonna come down. Pulling around the edge, turn it over. Cut your tape nice and long. Again, no tension at the end of your tape. Okay, we're gonna do that twice just to cover the very flat side of it. You are gonna try very hard not to go, you see how my tape does not go over the edge? It has not gone over the edge. I've left a little bit of a lip and the tape does not go all the way to the edge. So you wanna make sure you do that because we'll cover the edge in a moment. So again, same thing on this side, just the flat edge. Do not go over the corner. Nice and flat all the way down. Flip it over. And cut. Okay, so we have this now. We just have tape here. We've got a little bit of a lip on either side. The ends are about that long. Okay, and then we're gonna do our last 2 pieces of tape. That's the first 2. And these are the ones that are gonna go over the edge. So what I like to do is I like to pull it about the same length that I'm gonna use. Okay, and then I put mine over top first. And then you're gonna pull the side into an X shape. So you see how it went diagonally across the rifle? It did not go straight down. That is how you get the tension to keep the corner nice and tight. Round into an X shape. And then you press down that edge. Okay, and you are left with it looking like this. I know it's a little hard to see because it's white. Let's see, they're going this way. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same thing on the other edge. And pull. All right, so now both ends of our rifle are taped nice and well. Flatten your tape down. So again, now the butt of our rifle, just the flat side, is now taped, and the nose of our rifle is now taped, and that is all we've done so far. The strapping tape underneath, which I haven't talked about yet because I did this for you, strapping tape only really needs to be done once. When you retape your rifle, you'll take this top layer of tape that we are putting on right now. You'll take that off and redo it, but you do not take your strapping tape off ever. If you need to add strapping tape, you can. Strapping tape is tape that has little strings that run through it. What that means is that when your rifle cracks or splinters, it will hold it together. And it's just basically reinforcement. It's like armor for your rifle because it is made of wood and it can crack. But again, it doesn't really need to be redone, but that is its purpose. And again, strapping tape goes here on the nose. Again, in the points where it could break. On the end of the rifle, it hits things a lot and it could splinter. That keeps that from, splintering off. Same with down here. That's its only purpose, is to keep it from splintering from impact. Now, the strapping tape that goes from here to here is so that it doesn't break in half. This is its main stress points, meaning if it falls and it hits like that, most of the stress happens here and it could break right there. Kind of like an elbow, if that makes sense. Some people tape from here to here and then here to here. That's such a small area that I just go ahead and tape it for the extra reinforcement. You may learn to do that differently if you go other places. So, this part is slow, meticulous. This is a real-time video. I'm not gonna cut it at all. I'm not editing it because I'm lazy. So you're probably gonna wanna speed through it, but you need to pay attention to how to get started, and at least the first minute of me taping it, follow along, and then when I get to about here, you should That's when you need to start paying attention again. When we get to about here, that's when you want to start paying attention again. Okay, and then the rest of it will be a lot of the same. So when you get started, you're gonna take your tape. I usually take it in my right hand, pulling to the right side of my body. That's for a very specific reason. You're gonna be spinning the rifle a lot. It's better in your hand. I usually put my ring finger through my roll of tape to hold it with my index and my thumb. That is the best way I've found to get tension. I've been doing this a long time. It's just the way that my hand has found the tape. You wanna take your tape, you wanna go right on the edge of the pad. Very, very close. So it's very important that you do not do this. You see how my tape is off of the edge of it? You don't want that at all. You want to leave, that's why we taped it. You have some space. You wanna get it kind of close, like that, kind of close, but not quite on the edge. You do not want it to overlap and hang off, or else it'll just get dirty. It's just not a good time. Okay, so then you're gonna start going around. We're gonna go around and around and around until the whole rifle is done. But the important parts about this is that when you do this, you are going, so you go around the full first time, and you can see that little indent where the tape is. You want to make sure that there is a tiny bit of overlap, okay? So when you're doing it, you're going to spiral down very much like a candy cane, and you're going to make sure there's some overlap. That is because tension sometimes still does pull, and if it pulls, you don't want it to slip and leave areas exposed entirely. So you want to make sure there's a little bit of an overlap. Now, you do not want this much overlap. You will have more overlap for your flags than you do for your rifle. That is way too much overlap. You do not want that much overlap. The more tape you put on this rifle, the heavier it gets. So make sure you're just going right along the edge and you've got a little overlap. And again, we're gonna be spinning the rifle. I'm gonna back up a little bit. We're just gonna be spinning the rifle, putting that tape down right on the edge. You're gonna wanna go slow. Do not rush this. Again, if you do it right the first time, you don't ever have to do it again. My rifle was taped for probably 10 plus years at a point, okay? So, nice and slow. Again, I'm not gonna cut it. This is the part where it's gonna get boring, because you're gonna keep going around, pulling nice tension, making sure there's not very many wrinkles. And we're gonna do this all the way around. And anytime you see me pulling the tape back up like this, it's because I'm adjusting how much overlap there is. Okay, because it is pretty important that you don't overload your rifle with tape, and it's pretty important that you get the overlap mostly correct. Again, I'll do it really, really close. That's about how much overlap there is, just a little bit. Okay, so when you go around, you look for that little indentation, and I make sure it's about even the entire time. It's a little bit less than half of the tape's width that it gets overlapped. A little less than half. It's easiest not to like do like this and then like bring it around, because it gets really messy. It's hard to see your overlap. That is why I spin the rifle. Again, as you can see, you can kind of see the way I'm sitting. It's on my right leg, past me, hanging out on the floor. There's also a reason I'm on the floor. I could have been in a chair, I could have been on the couch. You could do this on your bed, probably. That's probably enough space. But you want enough space for your rifle to kind of be able to have space to be around you. Otherwise, it gets kind of annoying. That is why I'm on the floor. I prefer to tape on the floor. My flags included, I would prefer to do on the floor for the same reason. It's a 6-foot flag, so it's kind of hard to move it around. So you just want to make sure you have enough space for your equipment so that it's not in your way and annoying you. Again, it's boring. It's gonna take a while. This is why we're not doing this at practice and why you're doing it at home. This is also why I'm taking the time to record it as a video, because teaching you in person also takes a while. As the girls from Winter Garden knew last year, we took an entire practice, I think, just taping our equipment. But this is also like the method that you will use for your show flags. If ever there is a time where I need you guys to put the silks on instead of doing it myself, if I don't have the time, which I do as a courtesy, not because it's something that is my responsibility. In my guard, we had to tape all of our own flags, but that, you know, that is where I learned, and I want to make sure I'm at least teaching you guys. When I got here, a lot of the girls were taught incorrectly, or just like not quite as effective methods, maybe not specifically incorrect, but not maybe the best way it could be done. So it's important to know how to take care of your equipment. It's important to know what the supplies are for, what you need tape for, how to use the tape correctly, so that you're not wasting it, because the rolls are not cheap. They're about $7 a roll. Additionally, again, this is the brand that I use, the Scotch. I like the 33 or 35. Any other number doesn't really matter. I like the 35 though. I've just found that it has a nice pull to it. It slides a lot less, I want to say. But the textures aren't too different apart from each other with that same brand. So as long as you have the Scotch brand, you really should be fine. If you're getting like a $4, a $3, a $2 roll from Amazon, just understand that your tape is probably not very good quality, and you may wind up having to retape your equipment because your tape is literally flaking and breaking and falling off due to like temperature changes, because obviously we're out in the heat a lot. Your equipment does have a possibility of getting rained on. It gets really cold, so it goes through a lot of kind of trials, and the better your tape, the less likely it is that you'll have to retape your equipment. That's flags included. Okay, we are about to get to that lip that looks kind of scary. It's really not that bad because we have flexible electric tape that has some stretch to it. Okay, so once you get to this point, a lot of this is tension based. You're just gonna be kind of pulling it pretty hard to make sure that it's nice and smooth. So as we're about to go over that edge, right, you're gonna pull your tape as hard as you can straight down. You see how that curved around it? And it stayed down pretty good. That's what you want. And then I usually go from the bottom up to really press out that little seam that usually tends to happen on the other side when you do that. You see how that's already nice and good? Then you just press that down a little bit. These little extra pieces that are kind of popping up, those will not matter. So do not stress about them, okay? The other important thing is you wanna make sure that it's half. Half of your tape is on the top and half is going over the edge. If it's not like that, it could slip. So make sure you have enough tape going over the edge, or go over it twice. Once you're past it, we're kind of back to normal. You're just gonna come here and go straight across, find that other piece. And now we're back to normal. We're just finding that overlap, and we're just gonna keep going on. The reason that little lip here doesn't really matter is because our bolt is gonna go back on it and it is going to cover it up. That is also why this lip doesn't really matter. You see how that's not really as neat as some of the other stuff? It doesn't matter because the bolt's gonna be right up on it and you're not gonna see it at all. Right, and then I usually press so that I can still kind of see where the hole is for where the screw goes. Understand as well, there's one here as well. You can kind of see it though, okay? You don't wanna lose track of those because we need those. You will screw straight through the tape. As well. You will not have to poke a hole in it or anything. You will not have to cut a hole in it. You're just gonna screw straight through the tape. It's not too hard to do. For your screwdriver, you just kind of need a standard one. Obviously you have your screws in front of you, so find one that fits. The only advice I can give you about your screws is make sure that you are not stripping your screw. If you're having a hard time, you need more pressure, or take it to your dad or to your mom or to your grandpa or your aunt or somebody to help you get the screw out. Because if you strip your screw and your bolt gets stuck in your rifle, there's not much I can do for you. There's times that screws get broken off in a rifle. What that basically means is if the bolt gets stuck because we cannot get the screw out because you've stripped the screw and there's no way to get it out, we would either have to break your bolt, we would have to break the rifle, or it just that bolt just doesn't come off anymore. It becomes a practice rifle because it cannot get retaped. And so that's a problem for like if your bolt breaks or something like that and then you can't get it off. These rifles should last you forever if you take care of them. My rifle that you guys see, the pink one that I spin, has not always been pink. Obviously, I did that in my adult years because I am past performance age because I'm old. I cannot really, well, the only place I could perform is open, and I'm busy and I don't want to. So I did mine pink. You just get any good quality electrical tape works. But before that, I've had that rifle for nearly 11 years. And it is still in one piece because I've taken care of it all of those years. So now that we're here at the neck, this is also the part where it's got some weird angles and weird widths. It's really not hard. It's the exact same thing we did up here, but a little bit less complicated. When it's a weird angle and it would cause a wrinkle, just pull really hard and make sure there's a good overlap on that layer. Probably halfway on those weird layers. That's to make sure it doesn't slip. And you pulling it tight is gonna cause there not to be any wrinkles. And we are nearing the home stretch. We are almost done. Again, this goes all the way down to the edge. There's no real fancy way of finishing it. It doesn't get any more complicated from here. It's not funky at the end or anything. I also recommend that when you do this, you keep spinning the rifle in the same way. Don't switch directions halfway through. I don't know why you would. Most of you are not left-handed, so I don't know why you would switch to your other hand or try to do different. I wouldn't even pull it up like this and keep going. Like, I would keep it nearly the same the entire time. That is just for consistency, for neatness. As you can see from my rifle and the way that I tape them, they're nice and neat. They don't have a lot of wrinkles. If you want your rifle to be nice and neat without a lot of wrinkles, then take my advice, because that is what it's for. And I just want to clarify as well that this is the best way I know how. This has worked for me. Again, my rifle has been taped and taped by me for the last 11 years. If you go to a different school at some point, or you go off to college, or you want to do independent, just understand that there are 1,000 different, I mean, more than 1,000 different instructors who do this sport, and all kind of have their own kind of ways of doing this. So just don't be surprised if you go somewhere and, you know, maybe they want you to change your taping technique and that kind of thing. This is the best way I know how. This is what I want Ridgeview to do. This is not the only way. It is not the only correct way to do this. There are a lot. I mean, there's definitely people out there who probably say that my method is wrong. One of the things I commonly see is that there are a lot of schools that do not tape their entire rifle. I think it's worth it to not have it break because they're $50. But there are some schools that only tape here, like, you know, where the strapping tape is. They'll only tape the parts where the strapping tape is, and they'll leave like these areas exposed, which is fine. I find that when you do that, you get more cracks. The integrity is not quite as good. The other thing I don't like about that personally is that the paint that comes from, factory painted onto the rifles, that white paint, that you see, that you saw at the beginning, literally what I'm covering up right now, that over time gets dirty and it flakes off. The seniors know what I'm talking about because you guys have seen the rifles before I repainted them last year. They get nasty looking, really, really nasty looking. And this keeps your rifle looking nice underneath forever. The tape looks nice and neat. When you need, you know, your rifle to, you know, have a pick-me-up, maybe it's looking a little dirty, looking a little dingy, maybe the tape is yellowing, then you just take all the tape off and put all the tape back on, and now it's brand new and it's white, and we're all good. Okay, so we're getting to the edge now. We're gonna keep going exactly the same until we get to about that same edge. Now, important like the nose, exactly like the nose, you do not want it to overhang like that. You don't want it to curl around the edge at all. You wanna go right to the edge and stay right on the edge. Come all the way around. Now we've gone around and we are fully taped. What I like to do is I take a little bit of tape, right? A tail about that long, cut it off. I will pull it around this edge and a diagonal. Once I'm over the curve, no tension, press it down. And that's it. Rifle's now taped. Let's back you up a little bit. Okay, so now our rifle is fully taped and looking nice and looking beautiful. This is the point where we put our screws and stuff again. Again, a regular screwdriver works just fine. I'm lazy. I'm using a drill. I'm using a drill because I know how to not strip my screws when I use a drill. Stripping your screw happens when you don't have enough grip on it and it keeps spinning on the inside of the X of the screw. You put it in and you don't get enough grip, and so it just does like that. If you do that enough, it'll just be a circle. It will have no grooves and you cannot get it out. So again, if you feel comfortable with the drill, by all means. If you want to be safe, use a screwdriver. That's awesome too. Let's put the bolt back on first, if I remember where I set it down. Okay. So, the long screws are for your bolt. Out of the 4 screws you took out. I like to poke a little hole just so I know where I'm aiming for in my rifle. Then what I like to do is I take my bolt, I stick my screws in to the bolt. Then I take the points and I line them up where they should go, so I know that's where it is, and then I slide, see that? I slide the bolt down the screws. So now the screws are sticking up, and then I use my fingers, come on closer. I use my fingers to line up the edge here so it's not overhanging on one side, nice and lined up. And then you screw it down. If you're using a drill, do not put it in too tight to where you can't get it out again. Just tight enough to go in like you would with a screwdriver. Very important. You want to be able to get it out. You want to be able to get it out at practice if you needed to get it out with a screwdriver just in case something happened. Okay, tape. We got a few more things to tape as well. This roll was entirely full when we started. This is enough for you to tape your rifle and your flag, okay? So before we put the strap back on, we're gonna do the last little bit of tape that we need to do. These screws, we don't want them to fall out and things like that. So we are gonna do a strip of tape around the screws, around the entire rifle. This also helps keep the bolt on. So you're gonna take your tape. I like to start it on the edge here, all the way up across where the screw is, straight down. And then we go again, line it up. You're gonna go over the screw 2 times, down, and this is the part where you cut it, no tension, and place. And we'll do that on the other screw as well. Over, down, up the other side, Again, I'm nice and neat, so I'm lining my tape back up exactly. Down. And back up. We've got a few more things to tape. And now our bolt is back on. Nice, new, shiny, wonderful. Great. Okay, so now you're gonna grab your strap. It's easier, I forgot last year, my bad. It's easier to tape your strap before you put it on your rifle, obviously, because of the angles. So there's a couple places on the strap that we tape. We get a white strap so we don't have to tape the entire thing. However, we want to protect our hands from any type of scraping or any metal pieces. So this screw, now, let me back up. Your strap is very tight on your rifle. I know that. It is supposed to be that tight when you start. It will loosen up as you practice. So you do not move these screws. They are there to be adjustable, yes. You do not move the screws. The reason that they're there is more for when it is worn out because you've stretched it through use. Now you can tighten it back up if it gets too loose. It's not really to loosen it up, it's to tighten it back up. So do not move those screws. Okay, but very, very simply, we're gonna go over the screws twice, same as we did with the other ones. I can get the little things, notches out of my tape. And we're gonna go, 3 times, my bad, 3 times. And you're just gonna go straight over the screw, around 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Set, place. And you're gonna do it with the other one as well. One, 2, 3. Okay. And we got one more place on these. Okay. So when you spin your rifle, especially the rifle line, you know, you've got moves that you hook your thumb under your strap. This is to protect your thumb. So very importantly, you're not gonna put tape on this part, the swivel part. Okay, it's only gonna go on this little rectangle part and the actual strap itself. So we're gonna go over that twice. Again, it's mainly just to protect your hands from the metal. Okay, like this. It looks kind of funny, but it is for your protection. Just like that. And then same on the other side. And it looks like this. Okay, and you'll do that just twice. And that's on both ends, too. Okay. This is the last step, and then we screw the strap back on, and then we're done. We are done. Okay, I like to make sure my swivel's in the center, even though we don't tape over the swivel. Okay, around once and twice. Okay, and then you're done with your tape for your rifle. That is all the tape you need. Okay, so now we have the strap. Okay, take your rifle. Again, I take these. I make sure I know where my holes are. A little poke. Now this part is a little bit difficult, so bear with yourself, be patient with yourself. It's fine, everything's fine, okay? The best way, so first of all, on your rifle you have a little logo, a little brand, okay, that goes towards the butt of the rifle. That's just if you want to be particular. Is there a reason? Not really, you could just put it on either way. I prefer to put the logo towards the butt of the rifle because that's the way it comes. Okay, screw in. And you're gonna have to hold it with your hand. Now, I'm gonna use the regular screwdriver to show you this. Go in. Very much like it was when you took it off. You're not gonna go all the way in. Only put it into there, okay? Then flip to the other side. put this side in. The reason for that is there's a lot of tension. You're already gonna find yourself having to pull it to that other hole. That is correct, that is proper. But you wanna make sure that when you do it, that your screw is not like this. Pull it to where your screw is up, okay? Where it's sticking straight up, okay? And then you screw it in. This part is hard. It's maybe one of the harder parts of it. I hook mine kind of under my arm. Keep it still, okay? Whoop. Okay. Pull the screw up and start to screw it in. Now, if you do this and you see how tight the strap already is? If you do the first one and you go all the way down, it's gonna be nearly impossible to get this one into the other hole. You gotta do them halfway first, okay? Then when you get there, I move my swivel down like that. And then you have to keep making sure that you tilt it back up so that you're going straight down into the rifle. Don't let that tension pull the screw to the side. You need it to go straight down. Okay, and then I get it about that far. Still not all the way in. Flip to the other side. Okay, same thing, make sure it's nice straight up and down. This one usually stays straight up and down a little bit better because you weren't pulling it. Okay, go in most of the way. Actually, you can go full way in on this one. And that's just me holding it. Okay, holding my screwdriver still. You're gonna need to put some elbow grease into that. Okay, go all the way down. That's not tight enough. You go until it is nice. You cannot move it anymore. Okay, about like that. Okay. Oh, I lied. We actually do need the tape one more time. My bad. Okay. And then let's screw this one in the rest of the way. Because again, we cover up all the metal pieces. I don't know why this one slipped my mind. So I wanted to do this part with the screwdriver so you see how much effort it takes. You do need some muscle. You do need to be pressing down on it to make sure that one, you're not stripping your screw and that it goes all the way in, okay? Now, we are all good to go, okay? Very last step. Now that we are screwed on, we're gonna take our tape and we're gonna tape over those metal swivels, okay? This right here. So, same as we did on the other part, straight over the swivel. And you're gonna do that twice. 2, that's twice already. And then down on the side, and snip. So from here across is 1, down, across is 2, and you don't have to go all the way around the bottom of the rifle. It's kind of a waste of tape, you don't need it. Same with this side, 2 times across. So again, we start on one side, across the metal, and we come back up and we cross the metal again, but we only go halfway down the side because we don't have to go underneath again. And that is a fully taped, 100% done rifle. Now, your strap is incredibly tight, okay? I know that. It's very tight. It's gonna feel like it's like bouncing out of your hand, okay? What you need to be doing is you need to be stretching your strap, bow and arrow, this, give it some push. Like this part, you see how much looser that is already? Okay, that's what we're aiming for, okay? That's why you do not loosen it manually. Her rifle's done. Strap's nice and loose like it should be. If she needs it a little bit looser, she'll stretch it a little bit more until it's comfortable to spin with. See that? Okay, easy, easy peasy, okay? If you have any questions, please let me know.